All right, Magic Makers, we are diving in today. We're talking about habits. And as I was planning this episode, I was planning on talking about the holidays. And then I was like, you know what? I really want to date this podcast. But I was like, you know what? Everything I'm talking about are really good habits that many of us can really start to incorporate into our everyday life. And so today, the thing about habits, it's not about surviving, right? It is about how do we thrive? Like so many of us are just surviving and getting by, but are you done? Are you done? So if you're ready to get stronger and start to create some sustainable habits, right, to get into a groove that gets going to carry you from now through the end of the year and hopefully for your entire life, let's start today. And so for many of you, when you hear that, like, I just wish I was more disciplined. I wish I was more motivated. Then, right, all this magic would happen. But this is what I know is that, sure, we can muster discipline, we can muster motivation, but it's the habits that get you to your goals, right? It's the foundation. Like you have to build this foundation. I want you to think about a house. I could be thinking about building this house and I can think about all these amazing bonus rooms, right, that I want in my house. But unless I build a really good solid foundation, it doesn't matter how many rooms I have in it if my foundation is crap. It's always going to crumble to the bottom. And so without habits, discipline goes nowhere because I see so many of you like chasing all of these things, but we haven't set a solid foundation. So as we jump in here, I'm going to call out my perfectionist, and it's not you. I'm a recovering perfectionist as well. And I want to see, I'm going to I'm going to start saying about 9 different habits to start to build into your life. And I see, you'll be scribbling them down and telling yourself you got to nail all of these right out of the gate. But here's the thing. I've worked with hundreds of women and I see it every time. You try to tackle all of these and you feel like a freaking rock star. And then all of a sudden, life does what it does, throws you a curveball, and all of your habits, it's like a tsunami wave came and just knocked you out, just took you out to sea. And so or you start overthinking, right? You're like, everything has to be on point. And you're trapped in this like analysis paralysis of like, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this good? Is this bad? And you're just like swirling and swimming. So if this sounds familiar, today I'm going to ask you to focus on at least 1 to 3 habits. And ideally, I want you to do one, but I'm throwing you a bone. You're welcome to for these habits. So let's start with let's find something that feels doable. Nail them and then move on. Trust me, slow and steady is always going to win. So let's dive in. The first thing that typically happens around the holidays is parties, right? So we have parties, and I want you to really start to think about the holiday drinks and create yourself a budget, right? Because holiday drinks, they're fun. There's always some festive name to them. And those calories can sneak up on you faster than your credit card bill in January. So we need to make a budget for those drinks and stick with it, right? You're going to an event and I'm having 1 to 2 glasses of wine and that's it. If you want to, like, if it's a multiple hour party, space it out. Have a glass of water, then have a glass of wine. Have a glass of water, and then have that last glass of wine. But you decide what the night is going to do, because so many times we get wrapped up in just being in the moment, and then on the ride home, we're like going 20 rounds with Mike Tyson. So I want you to just, as I go into these holiday events, create a budget. Now, this also counts for all of those fun holiday coffee drinks. Who doesn't love a good like eggnog latte or ginger spice, blah, 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 right? So pick your faves. And I'm not saying don't have it, right? This is the time of year that there's certain things that come out that we don't eat any other time of the year. But what I'm saying is let's find a schedule for it, right? We're not having every day having the eggnog latte, right? Every day we're not going out for drinks with friends and having, a bottle or two of wine. What I'm saying is, how do we start to create a budget? Which leads into, you know, let's make a preemptive plan here. We are of that age that we don't really have a lot of spontaneity in our life as far as like, hey girl, we're going out for drinks. You coming? Like that doesn't really happen as much. And if it still happens for you, rock on with your bad self. But here's where I'm like, if I look at my calendar and I'm sitting down on a Sunday and I look and I'm like, okay, there's a party on Friday or Saturday. The rest of the week, I'm like, okay, I'm going to plan around that party. Now, am I gonna like restrict my food? No, I'm just gonna be more mindful of what I eat, knowing that I have a party on Friday or Saturday or Thursday, whatever your party is, and just gonna be more mindful of making sure that when I eat not at those parties, I'm getting in my protein, my good fats, and my vegetables so that when I go to the party, again, making a decision, what does that party look like for you? Right. And so start to think about how do I put that together? The second here is protein. I know. If I had $1 for every time I said protein, I'd be a rich woman. Right. So let's aim for 100 to 20 grams of protein and spread out throughout the day. And many people are like, well, how does that translate into ounces? It roughly turns into about 4 to 6 ounces of protein every single day, or I'm sorry, every single meal. And when you're at these events, plan your meal or plan your plate around protein. So if I'm at, a buffet or whatever, see what, put as much protein as I can on my plate. And then let's add on the other fun foods and have 1 to 3 bites. And if it doesn't blow your hair back, you don't have to finish it, right? No one's there being like, oh, Sharon didn't finish that, whatever it is that Sharon didn't finish. No one's looking at you. Now, with that said, I do have a client who she works in an office and a very small office. So like, everybody knows everybody's business. And they have a potluck every year. And so she's like, Kim, what do I do? I get it, right? Because Sharon's looking at you with her world-class green bean casserole, God love her. And Susie's looking at you with her world-class, whatever it is that she makes, and you don't want to be rude. So again, take take a scoop, right? You're not being rude. Just like, oh, I'm just gonna try everything before I like dig in. And that way, you take a bite or two of their prize winning, whatever that is their prize winning. And that way you don't feel like one, you're blowing it, but two, you don't feel like uh you're, dissing Sharon and Susie for their world famous, God knows what they're famous for. Right. So that let me know if this is starting to make sense. Because here's the thing, right? Why would I just choke down shitty food? So let's focus in on the foods that actually light me up. There are things that are fun foods that I'm like, oh, my damn, this is so good. And then there's some things that I'm like, it's just okay. I have a good friend. She likes these Alyssa cookies, and they're healthy-ish cookies. And I am like, they're okay. I mean, I don't like, I'm not running out and buying them. And she's like, oh my God, I like ration them. They're so good. Right. So it's like we all have the one thing that lights up our life. This holiday, for the third thing, this holiday, I want us to ditch the diet mentality. Okay. Here's the thing, right? One, you can't always be on a diet. So if you can't remember the last time you opened up your nutrition, you weren't tracking to the penny your meal, I encourage you to have a conversation with me because everyone needs to open up their diet from time to time. And when I say that, I'm not saying open up your diet ain't like an asshole. That's not what I'm encouraging. I'm saying open up your diet so that if you are restricting so much that like every single morsel is weighed and measured before you put it in your mouth, for the love of God, let go of the reins for this just for 30 days, 60 days, and find the middle ground, right? The middle ground is where the gold is. When I work with women, I want them to try to find like if one is weighing and measuring everything and 10 is like It's food, it's going in my mouth. I want us to find that 5 to 7 range, right? Where if I know I'm like about, I want to go on vacation, I pull it down to a 5. I know I want to put on a little muscle. I bring it up to a 7 so that I'm playing in this 5 to 7 zone so that I never feel like I'm down at one, you know, white knuckling it, drinking copious amounts of water and chewing gum so to fight through the hunger. No, that's not life. And unless that's what brings you joy, and I'm thinking if you're listening to me, that doesn't bring you joy. Um, the key here is to get through the holidays and to get through anything. It's planning. And I'm not asking you to like literally like, I have a client who is planning is her that's her jam, right? She sits down and she plans her breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She plans everything out and it's a chart, blah, 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 a whole big thing. Some of you are like, oh my God, that seems torturous. That seems torturous for me too. I like to have a little fluidity in my life, but I do have a plan, right? So it's like it's a loose plan. I like flexibility. So it's like I definitely plan out when my workouts are going to happen, and that usually is pretty pat. But when it comes to food, I plan the foods I'm going to eat, but it's if I don't have pork chops on Tuesday and I have them on Thursday, it's no big shakes, right? So the plan is to like focus on being as balanced as possible when it comes to our proteins, fruits, and vegetables, and intentional indulgences is what I want to call it, versus just randomly like binging and losing my shit. Um, and get those training days scheduled, right? So again, sit down. This one's probably a lot easier to do than your food. Sit down, look at your schedule, right? If you have if you typically work out on Friday and Thursday is the company Christmas party, you're probably not going to work out Friday morning or probably not feel like working out Friday afternoon. So where else can I put that in the schedule? And see if we can get in at least 2 full body strength trainings during this busy time. And if you have more time, up to 5 days a week, right? They don't have to be marathon training session. And it's okay if it looks a little bit different. I am guilty of back in the day, if I could not work out my normal 2 hour workout, then why? Why work out? Right. So I don't want you to get caught up in that habit as well. The holidays are going to look different, and that's okay. Right. Be okay with that. And if you are in my Fit Girl Magic Facebook group, every Friday I give you body weight workouts that can be done anywhere. So if you are someone who's traveling and you don't have weights, there's plenty of workouts in there. You want to just search the hashtag fat burning Friday and you'll find a bunch. Sneak in movement. All right. So aiming for 75 to 10,000 steps, and it's not just about like burning calories. It's called NEAT, non-exercise thermogenesis. Um, and you look at like how you burn calories, your focused exercise, like the time you literally say, I'm going to the gym, that accounts for about 10 to 15% of your caloric burn throughout the day. This, like just moving around, just, fidgeting, you're burning about 20 to 30% of your calories by doing that. So that's why one of those walking pads have become so popular these days, is because of that. And the little things have add up. I've been doing what I call outrageous October, and I've been really focusing in on getting in my steps. And it's crazy how either I am crushing my steps or I feel like a sloth. And it's like I've been very intentional about it, and it's really forced me to get out of my comfort zone. I am a first thing in the morning workout, or in like if my workout isn't done like 9, 10 the latest, it's just not getting done. And I found myself literally like getting out of my house at like 4 in the afternoon and going for this quick walk to like bump up my steps. Sleep. You knew you knew I was going to talk about sleep. You knew that was going to be a thing. And so really prioritizing your sleep, and don't skimp on this one. Everyone's like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, you know but aim for at least 7 hours of sleep. So that means setting a bedtime and giving yourself the time to recharge. And especially for my early morning workouters, I see it all the time. "Ah, Kim, 4:30 in the morning is the only time I can work out." Well, get your ass to bed. And if again, if you know that you're going out the night before, rejig something. And it might mean if you're someone who works out 5 days a week, it might mean you're going to get 4 this week, just so that you prioritize that sleep, right? Your body needs to recharge for all the stuff that it does. It needs to recharge to handle everything you throw at it. Um, Hydration, you knew this was going to be on the list, right? Like this isn't a shocker for you. And then you want to drink at least half your body weight, your current body weight in ounces. And if you're like, I don't know how much I weigh, that's okay. So at least a minimum of 100 ounces a day. 175 to 100 ounces a day is what I would aim for, because hydration is your secret weapon to fight bloating, right? Because if I am going out to these holiday parties, I might be eating foods I just don't normally eat, and your body is like, what are you giving me? Um, Brain fog, energy, just that blah feeling that you might be feeling sometimes during the holidays. Like at this point, it's getting really dark outside. And so like, here in New England by like 2 o'clock, you're like, should I be going to bed? Like, what time is it? Um, a cup of vegetables or fruit every single meal, right? One, it's more filling. Two, fiber, right? Ladies over 40, we need more fiber. Fiber is what helps us to get rid of excess hormones. And we got a lot of different things going on in our body. So the more we can get rid of that, the better off we are. So load up every meal, have at least a cup or a whole piece of fruit. And then the last thing I want to say, and this is probably going to be the hardest pill to swallow for all of this, patience, right? Progress takes time. You are not Amazon Prime as much as you want to be, right? You want to like, Kim, I've been working out really hard. I've been eating well all the time, and I'm still not seeing results. I feel you, right? It is not going to come fast. And I really wish it came fast. I really wish it was back in the day, 12 weeks to blah, blah, blah. That just doesn't happen anymore. And I want that for you. Trust me, I do, but it's just not how it happens anymore. So here's where I challenge you to just pack your patience. And if you're like, how do I know it's working? Here's how I know it's working. When I sleep, do I wake up feeling refreshed? Am I easily able to go to sleep? Do I stay asleep? Cravings. Am I having cravings? Energy. Do I wake up with good energy? Do I have energy, sustained energy throughout the day, or do I have crashes of energy? Do I need coffee, like a jolt to get me through the afternoon? How's my mood? Right? Those are things that you can start to measure to start to say, is this working or not? Also like if you're someone who's like you and did you notice everything I said had nothing to do with the scale, right? These like biofeedback measures give so much more information than the scale. The scale is a moment in time. And I just want us all to kind of like go back through these 9 things that I've laid out. And I want you to just ask yourself, you're like, go through and ask yourself, like, which one of these feels easy, right? Which one? And I don't want you to feel like, oh, I got to say this one, or I got to say hydration, or I got to say sleep. Excuse me. I want you to pick one that feels easy for you, and like, let's get good at that. All right. I talk about the non-negotiables regularly because that was such a game changer for me. And when you start to see how you put this in place for oh God, almost a decade, it was sleep 7 hours, 10,000 steps, work out 3 days a week. Like that and a big ass salad. That was it. That was all I focused on. Now I'm like, yeah, Kim, you got to kind of break out of your rut, get uncomfortable. Now it's like I'm trying to eat 800 grams of vegetables. I've upped my steps to 12 to 15,000 steps, right? Upped my water to 4 liters, right? So it's like I got good here and now I'm upping the game. So I want you to get good at the basics. When I nail the basics, oh, girlfriend, I absolutely, you're gonna, it's such a powerful shift, but it's not gonna happen overnight, right? That's the one thing I want you to take away. It's not gonna happen overnight. So if you are feeling like you need a little bit of support through the holidays or beyond, I am working on a new short-term uh short-term program that can really help you supercharge yourself into the new year and beyond. In the show notes, I'm going to list an interest list so you can just put your name on it. It's no obligation. I am just trying to gauge interest in it. So let's make this season less about scrambling to the finish line and more about laying down these healthy habits so that it's going to keep you in the game for the rest of the year. And let's make magic happen. All right. All right, friends, do me a favor. If you know of someone else who needs to hear this, share it out, sister. Share it out because I want all of us to go into the next year crushing, right? Versus limping and then telling ourselves, it's just not for me. Girl, it is for you, and we can make it happen. All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of your day. I will talk to you soon.